worship associate this morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing Won't You Be My Neighbor? The words are on the back of your program.
So I must be on the wrong page. Here we go. My name is Terry Lucan, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Sorry. Whether you've been with this congregation a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral homeland of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. So I have a few announcements today. Thanks to everyone who ordered grocery cards. The congregation makes $5 on every $100 grocery card we sell, and we generated $440 of income for the fellowship. And I have them, and they'll be ready for pickup either after services today or next week, or we can figure out a convenient time. This announcement is from the spring kitchen cleanup crew. There are free cycled items on tables in the fellowship hall. If any of the items belong to you, please take them home. If you see something you want, please take it home. After today, we plan to throw out what's left. And I got a nice little plastic platter, love it. This morning after service, we'll be having a town hall meeting to discuss the proposed budget for next year and answer any questions. Next Sunday, not May 8th, I guess June 8th, after the service, we will have our annual congregational meeting to approve the budget and elect trustees to the board. And this is a long one. UUCHV is a member of the UUA, which is the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. There are almost 1,000 such congregations in the U.S. The General Assembly of the UUA takes place every June to discuss and vote on social justice issues and worship together. Attendees are delegates of congregations, ministers, and religious educators. This year, the GA meeting is meeting virtually and in person in Baltimore, Maryland. We are eligible for 2 official delegates in addition to Reverend Daniel and Jane Padal, our Director of Religious Exploration. Betsy Tomic will be one of our delegates, and the Board of Trustees invites any other official member of the congregation to be the other delegate. The GA will be from June 18th through the 22nd. See Jim Russell if you are interested in finding out more. Some of the activities can be streamed even if you're not registered. Simply Google UUA General Assembly. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for coffee and congregation after the service. If you are present in the sanctuary, we'll be in the fellowship hall. And if you're watching at home, there's a link in the email you were sent yesterday. And if you're just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, you can either fill out the yellow card that's in with the hymnals or email us at uucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure you're added to our list. And please remember to silence your cell phones. And once again, I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley.
Our guest speaker today is Lily Carianis, who is a graduate of Union Theological Seminary. Her day job is investigating NYPD officers who are accused of misconduct. Lily focuses her ministry on ecology, animal liberation, trans rights, and police reform. Please welcome Lily.
Thank you all. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about Fred Rogers, better known as Mr. Rogers from the PBS television show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which ran from 1968 to 2001, and which touched the lives of many children, parents, and adults. I think about Mr. Rogers often, but all the more so when there is a systemic attack on transgender and queer children and young adults across the country. More than anything, Mr. Rogers hoped to teach us to better listen to children, to give all children a loving message of care and trust, and a message that all feelings are mentionable and manageable. If Mr. Rogers were alive today, I think he would be listening there to our transgender children, their hopes, their fears, their dreams. And his message would be the same as ever, as in the lyrics of one of his well-known songs. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way deep down inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your toys. They're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you. Your skin, your eyes, your feelings. Whether old or new, I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like. It's you yourself. It's you. It's you I like.
We now invite the children of our congregation to join our religious exploration leaders and come ring our bell. However many times we're going to ring the bell in honor of our shared principles. Chalice lighting today is, of course, from Fred Rogers. When we love a person, we accept him or her exactly as is, the lovely with the unlovely, the strong with the fearful, the true mixed in with the facade, and of course, the only way we can do it is by accepting ourselves that way. Now please join me in our unison affirmation. The words are in your order of service. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice.
We come together for a time for all ages. I invite all of you, whether you're young in spirit or young in body, to engage in a conversation with me today. You can feel free to come up to the front if you want to move your body and move around, or you can stay where you are, whatever's most comfortable. And today I want to ask you all a question. I want to start with a question of, have you ever felt excluded from somewhere or left out? And what was that like? I haven't seen you.
It was kind of like, why? Why would they do that? Because if it was your friend, you'd be like, I don't have anything else to do. You're my friend. Why can't I play?
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt sad because I thought they were my cousin.
Yeah. Sad. And why? The question of why. Yeah, go ahead. I see this.
Wanting to lash out at them.
Yeah. Anger, right? Absolutely.
So, I wouldn't, like, I felt sorrow.
Sorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real feeling. Anger, sorrow, why? Yeah. Anyone else with any thoughts? Any other feelings that you have when you feel left out?
Like it isn't fair.
Yeah. Yeah, often when we feel that feeling of anger, it's that recognition in ourselves that there's something unjust going on. Yeah. Yeah. Now I want us to think about a time where we did feel included in something. What were the things that made us know that we were included? And what did that feel like? Yeah. Joy.
It was joyful because I was having fun and everyone was getting along.
Yeah, having fun and everyone getting along. I love that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Trust.
Trust. Yeah.
There was no doubt that it was a whole sort of gathering.
Yeah. That feeling of trust that can come from feeling included. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I have these icky friends that some days they're very mean, some days they're nice to me. So when they're including me, it's sort of a feeling of worry. They're not gonna be like that tomorrow.
Yeah. It can be really hard to trust when there's that inconsistency where sometimes you're included and sometimes you don't feel included. And so I ask us now just to be thinking about what are ways that we can make folks feel included? What are the things that we can do so that folks can begin to develop that trust, that maybe they'll be included and we can have that joy and fun? Yeah.
Could, as when it's playing a game, if they ask who should accept, no matter how many people are playing said game,
Yeah.
unless if it's like a two-player game. But like, even then, you can say, well, just let us finish this round and you can play me next round.
Absolutely. That sort of communication and intention, that promise making, right? There's this round, but then maybe next round you can play. I like that. Yeah. And that shows how complicated it can be sometimes to include folks, right? Is you're like, but it's a two-player game. But that second of thoughtfulness and, well, what can we do to make sure that you know you're welcome here? I like that. Yeah.
One of my kids has a really beautiful habit of when she sees somebody in a group, especially at the beginning of something, the first day of school, the first day of camp, or at a dance, she sees someone standing all alone. She goes over to them and just says, hey, do you want to come over with us? Simple invitation, and they just light up and everything changes for them.
What lovely attention to look around and to see those who maybe aren't feeling included and thinking about that way. That a simple phrase, a simple, hey, do you want to come and join us? It's beautiful.
I'm not sure if it's still there, but our elementary school used to have a buddy bench. And if you were feeling a little lonely, you would just go sit on the bench. And it was always sort of neat to see which kids would approach the kids on the bench. And they would just sort of run off together. It was a way of saying, I need a friend today.
That's wonderful. A way of facilitating for the eventuality that we will all feel maybe a little alone or left out at some time. Just building a little space, a bench, or somewhere that invites people, that communicates without having to raise your voice. Hey, I'm feeling a little lonely. That's wonderful. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other thoughts? Well, I thank you so much for spending this time thinking through the ways that we can help make each other feel included. And I hope that we continue this work, both today and as we keep growing. I think that we sing the children out now. Number 413.
Together in community to share with one another, to support one another, and to celebrate with one another. We bear sacred witness to each other in this honored ritual. As we begin, we know that there are both great sorrows and great joys in our world that must be acknowledged as well. We light our first candle to honor those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around our world. We light a second candle because we understand that amidst all of that pain, there is also celebration and joy in our world. We honor that joy and sorrow are woven together. For some of us here today, this has been a week of life-changing joy that needs to be lifted up in this worship. For others, this has been a time of deep pain and sorrow that needs to be shared to make the burden lighter. If this has been such a time for you, I invite you to come forward to light a candle and to briefly tell us your joy or sorrow. You may also raise your hand in silent acknowledgement of your joys and sorrows, and we will light a candle for you. I would also like to remind everybody that the service is being recorded and live streamed, so just remember that your joy or sorrow will be shared with the community online and the broader community.
Hi, I'm Nora Mulligan, and Friday, I retired from 18 years at the Field Library. It was a joy. It was also kind of a sorrow. It was kind of poignant, but yeah, I'm free. Yay!
Good morning, I'm Jim Russell. Reverend Daniel informed me this week that the father of our former minister, Sarah Lindsay, died very suddenly of a heart attack this past week. More information will be coming out, but if you want to, you can send condolence messages to the church where Reverend Sarah preaches, which is the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Terry. It was a joy yesterday to swing dance, courtesy of Tom and Emily's wonderful gift that we won at the auction, and now I know why Nora was dancing so happily.
That was a long way across the room here. I'm Linda Schulman, and I want to express my great joy to have my grandson, Caleb, home. Some of you know him very warmly as a kid that has to jump down the 2 steps into the room. I think Sherry was the one that actually showed me how he did it when we were hanging these paintings in here. And while I'm at it, I'm going to just put in a little plug for the Preston Ewing show, and there she is, Sherry, who helped me hang the show, and it will be up for next month, all through June. We have some cards and we have some posters that were made from one of his paintings. Unfortunately, can't show that one because it's on my son's wall, and he refuses to take it down. So anyway, I think I've said that before. So I hope you continue to enjoy the show. If you have any questions about any of them, I'd be happy to tell you. And Caleb was very proud to see his great-grandfather's artwork on the wall.
So I'm Maddie. My pronouns are she, her. I have two joys, one of which happened right here this morning. When you asked us about the experiences of being included and excluded, it was the children that spoke first. And it just warms my heart to be part of a community that encourages that, and that we are witnesses to the children and the children to us, and that we include them. I was so moved by that. The other joy I have is that Ames and I just came back from spending a few weeks on vacation, and some of that time was with two of our boys and their children. Both of our boys have encountered some very significant milestones. Ames's son was able to be with his daughter for the first time in a couple of years, which suggests some recovery on her part. And my son and his new wife and new home. It was just filled our hearts, so I wanted to share that joy.
Good morning, Betsy Cates. Yeah, what Maddie said, I found my eyes filling with tears. It was just beautiful this morning. So this great joy is that my daughter's in town. She's spending a total of 3 weeks on the East Coast between two big events that she had to go to. Oops. Oh gosh, that one's maybe coming off the wall. So she was with us for 4 days. I have a new tattoo. Happy to show it off. And she'll be guesting in Brooklyn for 2 weeks at a studio, and she is booking. So if anybody has been craving a tattoo by the wonderful Thorn Pokes, aka my kid, please see me and I will give you info for how to book with her. And then next weekend we are going to see together. We'll see a play by Lane Cobb's brother, which is going to be really cool. I have info about that too, if you're interested. And then on next Monday night, I can't contain this, we are going to see Janelle Monáe and Grace Jones together at the Brooklyn Bandshell. Yeah, I'm like climbing out of my skin. So it's just a joy to have her in close by because she's just a joyous individual. And she came to my sketchbook group on Tuesday and talked with us about art. It's just really sweet to have her around.
Hi, I'm Chuck Morrissey. I'm happy to be back in Croton today. I just got back from a 2-week singing tour in Italy, and I was fortunate enough to be able to sing in Rome at the Basilica of St. Francis in Assisi, and we finished up our tour in Venice. The name of the tour was the Viva Vivaldi Tour, and we sang in the actual church of Antonio Vivaldi. It was wonderful. I sang some solos. I sang so low that hardly anybody could hear me.
Good morning, everyone. Maria here. I'm so glad to see so many smiling faces. And just wanted to say that I have been incommunicado because and this is even before I left for Cuba in March. I was not feeling right, but anyway, I went, I came back, and to find that the residue of, even though I'm in perfect health, the residue of the radiations that I had, which were a total of 60, does take its toll over time. And so not only did that affect me physically, that is by feeling listless and staying in bed most of the time, but it does happen. So I had to make myself a charming hostess, and give room and board to the effects of radiation. So, come to the realization that grateful that I have life, grateful for the lives around me that have been so lovingly supportive and still are. So I just wanted to be clear as to why I was not in contact with each and every one of you. I really do mean that. But I had to surrender to what was. I had to say, here I am. And guess what? Dang, it felt good. Not too low to expectations of others or what I thought, or the expectations of others, but to say, you know what, Maria, you're fine, you're okay. So I'm here, that's what counts, not to dwell on this, and just recently I had a car accident. I was fine, no whiplash, everything was fine. But I went through the process and I felt this peace and serenity. And I looked up and said to Creative Force, you know what? This is a person I am meant to be. Thank you. So anyway, I feel very peaceful, very serene. Yet I want to say that I'm not boring. And I still would like to share with you the little gifts that I received while I was in Cuba, music and dance. So, absolutely. And I am grateful for this day and for each and every one of you to give me so much support. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day.
We light one final candle for all those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed. And for those outside of our walls who are searching for a place to bring the wholeness of their lives and to be received with love.
We come together now for a time of meditation and prayer. I invite you all to find a comfortable position for yourself, whatever that looks like for you, whatever feels right for you and your particular body. You can close your eyes or leave them open. I encourage you to focus on your breath, its cadence, the in and out of life. There is so much happening in the world, in our own personal lives, and in the lives of all of those sitting next to us. Sometimes it can be hard to find the time to just sit with our breath and our thoughts. I want to invite you all into a thought, a prompt from Mr. Rogers. All of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Would you take some time to think of the people who have helped you become who you are, those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you in life? I encourage you to think of them as we listen to our music. And think, whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must be to know the difference you felt they made. reading today is from an address that Fred Rogers gave to Congress in 1969 when they were threatening to remove funding for public television. Nothing changes. The senator in this piece, Senator Pastore, was frustrated with the long orations and had asked all of the presenters to keep it brief. And when it opens, Senator Pastore is gruff and perfunctory. He says, "All right, Rogers, you've got the floor." Mr. Rogers. Senator Pastore, this is a philosophical statement and would take about 10 minutes to read, so I'll not do that. One of the first things that a child learns in a healthy family is trust. And I trust what you have said, that you will read this. It's very important to me. Will it make you happy if you read it? I'd just like to talk about it, if that's all right. My first children's program was on WQED 15 years ago, and its budget was $30. Now, with the help of the Sears Roebuck Foundation and National Educational Television, as well as all of the affiliated stations, each station pays to show our program. It's a unique kind of funding in educational television. With this help, now our program has a budget of $6,000. It may sound like quite a difference, but $6,000 pays for less than 2 minutes of cartoons, 2 minutes of animated, what I sometimes say, bombardment. I'm very much concerned, as I know you are, about what's being delivered to our children in this country. I've worked in the field of child development for 6 years now, trying to understand the inner needs of children. We deal with such things as the inner drama of childhood. We don't have to bop somebody over the head to make drama on the screen. We deal with such things as getting a haircut, or the feelings about brothers and sisters, and the kind of anger that arises in simple family situations. And we speak to it constructively. The senator, whose tone softens now. Could we get a copy of this so that we can see it? Maybe not today, but I'd like to see the program. I'd like very much for you to see it. We made 100 programs for EEN, and then when the money ran out, people in Boston and Pittsburgh and Chicago all came to the fore and said, we've got to have more of this neighborhood expression of care. And this is what I give. I give an expression of care every day to each child to help them realize that they are unique. I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are. And I feel that if we in public television can only make it clear that feelings are mentionable and manageable, we will have done a great service for mental health. I think it's much more dramatic that two people could be working out their feelings of anger. Much more dramatic than showing something of gunfire. I'm constantly concerned about what our children are seeing, and for 15 years I have tried in this country and Canada to express what I feel is a meaningful expression of care. Senator Pastore, do you narrate it? I'm the host, yes. Well, I'm supposed to be a pretty tough guy, and this is the first time I've got goosebumps for the last 2 days. Well, I'm grateful, not only for your goosebumps, but for your interest in our kind of communication. Could I tell you the words of the song, which I feel is very important? Senator Pastore, yes. Mr. Rogers, this has to do with that feeling of control, which I feel that children need to know is there. And it starts out, what do you do with that mad that you feel? And that first line came straight from a child. I work with children doing puppets in a very personal communication with small groups. What do you do with the mad that you feel? When you feel so mad you could bite? When the whole wide world seems oh so wrong and nothing you do seems very right? What do you do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up friends for a game of tag or see how fast you can go? It's great to be able to stop when you've planned a thing that's wrong and be able to do something else instead and think this song. I can stop when I want to, can stop when I wish, can stop, stop, stop anytime. And what a good feeling to feel like this and know that that feeling is really mine. Know that there's something deep inside which helps us become what we can. Senator Pastore, I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. Looks like you just earned that $20 million. I invite you all to rise in body or spirit to sing our hymn 1053, How Could Anyone Tell You? During our time for meditation, I asked you all to think of those special people in your life who have loved you into being. And whenever I do this practice, I inevitably have a constellation of just lovely people to envision. But I do always think of one person, a friend and my former high school teacher, Mr. King. Now, Fred Rogers used to like to say that attitudes are caught, not taught. And Mr. King, my teacher, he didn't teach history to us. He loved history in front of us. And that gave me, at the very least, a lifelong love of history. And at most, his classroom became a safe haven in the tempestuous years of high school. As a teacher and as a friend, he was well practiced at that beautiful skill of listening with his ears and with his heart. When I was applying to seminary years later, I asked him to write me a letter of recommendation, and in his letter, he wrote that he hoped I would carry on the meaningful work of Mother Teresa and Fred Rogers. No pressure, right?
Pretty high bar.
All right. I was tickled by this, a little confused too. Fred Rogers was a cultural icon, well known for kindness, but to place him on the same list as a woman who gave her life for helping the world's poorest of the poor. Now, Mr. King had this huge poster in his classroom of Fred Rogers, and probably because we were at that age where we wanted so desperately to be treated as adults, we thought of this poster as a joke. But reading this letter and loving history, I decided to learn more about Mr. Rogers, and in him I saw refracted through my friend and mentor many of the lessons that Mr. Rogers was trying to bring to children everywhere. And I felt that influence of Mr. Mr. Rogers, that he had on children and their parents, and I understood his ministry as one of profound curiosity and love. Today, as we begin Pride Month, we face a national assault on the rights of transgender people. In the highest offices of this country, transgender people are being codified into law as inherently dishonorable and undisciplined. States who do the bare minimum of affirming trans youth are being threatened with the loss of school lunch programs and the loss of funding. The most powerful people in the world are laser focused on a small group of youth. And all around us are lots of think pieces written by adults talking about both trans children and their cisgender peers. And what is almost always missing from these statements and conversations is the voices of those children themselves. I think one of the most important and vital things that Fred Rogers taught on his television program is the importance of listening. He says, listening is a very active awareness of the coming together of at least two lives. Listening, as far as I'm concerned, is certainly a prerequisite of love. One of the most essential ways of saying I love you is being a receptive listener. Mr. Rogers listened to children. He taught himself how to listen, both by being fully present to and aware of the children he interacted with, making sure, as he would say, that his questions were as meaningful as his answers, and by working alongside child psychologists who made it their life's work to study the needs and inner worlds of children. And so I want to give you two examples of how he would listen, how fully and deeply he would listen, and how seriously that listening was. One child told Mr. Rogers that he was afraid of taking a bath. And Mr. Rogers talked this through with him, asked him questions, and determined that what he was afraid of was that when the drain was unplugged in the bath, he was worried that he would be sucked down the drain with all the water. Mr. Rogers took the child's concern very seriously, because while the thing he feared wasn't necessarily a reality, the fear itself was real. And so Mr. Rogers produced a show where he sings the song, and I'm not a singer, you can never go down, never go down, never go down the drain. You're bigger than the water, you're bigger than the soap, you're much bigger than all the bubbles, and bigger than your telescope. So you see, you can never go down your drain. Later, many parents had come to him and thanked him for this song. Apparently, the fear was more widespread than we did. But it helped them talk to their children about it. My second example is later. In the 1980s, there were several groups alleging to be concerned about children, and they began searching for satanic influences in children's entertainment, video games, and music. This is the so-called satanic panic. Dungeons and Dragons, which is a tabletop role-playing game where players use imagination, and they imagine themselves as adventurers in fantasy worlds using narrative, rules, dice to make these stories with each other. This game, Dungeons and Dragons, came under attack. Fred Rogers was also very concerned about what children were exposed to in their media, but his approach was to listen and to observe children, to speak with the child psychologists about their inner needs. And he conceived the notion of play as vital to the healthy development of children. In play, children learn to become confident. They learn to see the world as a place they can influence and change, and they come to understand themselves and each other better. He did worry about the influence of video games, what he had called mechanical entertainment. Not so much because of the content of the games, it was that he believed that play was an opportunity for children to bend the world toward their will, and he worried that so many video games forced children to fit into the video game world rather than open up the scope of their imagination. And unlike the folks bothered by Dungeons and Dragons, Fred went and observed two children interacting over the game. and he listened to them. And this is what he said. He said, "There is another type of game children are playing now, and that seems to have a powerful fascination for them. These games are played in children's heads, and the players make up what happens as they go along. The games may be set in old-time dungeons inhabited by mythological creatures, or they may be set in some far-off future. They do have rules, but the rules are guidelines, and the children can adapt and alter them as they see fit. The games have to be played with other human beings. Children can learn how from one another, and they don't have to buy anything or spend any money. A child was on a long journey recently and found himself sitting next to another boy who was familiar with these games. And that's how they whiled away the time. But more than making time pass, they made friends." And I think this is particularly poignant and significant. The general population only really became aware of Dungeons and Dragons through the moral panic surrounding it. And there was so much noise about protecting children from the dangerous influence of these games. But Mr. Rogers didn't let the noise inhibit his vision, because he was attuned to being with children, to listening with them, and not listening to the news or the pundits. He listened to the children, he listened to the child psychologists, and he determined that creative and collaborative play was vital to a child's growth, and he saw the potential of that growth in these games. Listening is the prerequisite to love. I believe that we are living through a moral panic about the existence of transgender people and transgender children. There's so much noise and so much scrutiny over our bodies and our very existence. Powerful people are attacking entire populations of people over the existence of a handful of children. And I think of Mr. Rogers' response to Dungeons and Dragons during that different moral panic. So what would he be doing right here? I believe he would be listening to the children. He'd be listening to the trans children. I want us just to think for a second about how impressive it is for a child in a world that, since the very day they were born, they had a gender assigned to them, and it is constantly reinforced all around them through the clothes they are provided, through the name they carry, through the pronouns affixed to them, the colors they are told to like, the toys they are bought, the restrooms they use, their presumptive friend groups. And just imagine how impressive it is that that child does that extremely difficult work of introspection. They feel that something's wrong, that something's not right. And against all the expectations of the world, they sit with themselves and they figure out what is wrong and what feels right. And then that child finds the bravery and trust to give this part of themselves to an adult. What an honor it must be to be that trusted adult. It's a monumental task for anyone at any age. Mr. Rogers tells us in times of stress, the best thing we can do for each other is to listen with our ears and our hearts. Coming out is a very stressful event, both for the person coming out and their interlocutor. One of the greatest gifts that you can give to another person is the gift of your honest self. One trans child was interviewed, and she said, "Even before I came out, I got the sense that no matter what happened, I would be unconditionally loved by my parents and siblings. Being transgender is not a choice. It's a choice to come out, but being trans is not a choice. It's not like one day I woke up and felt the way the wind blew and wanted to be a girl. I always knew I wasn't a boy. It wasn't that I wanted to be a girl. I was a girl. I just had to put that into words and explain it." This child's experience, the experience of knowing love and support regardless of what they said, gave them the courage to express a part of themselves. That expression helps the others around her to love her into being. Is this not what we want for the children of our society? To feel safe in their attachments at home? To feel the joy and freedom in discovering truth and meaning that's closest to themselves? Is this not what we want for our society? Mr. Rogers taught us that anything that is human is mentionable and therefore manageable. When we can talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, they become less upsetting and less scary. The people we trust with that important talk can help us know that we are not alone. He teaches us that the most important thing we can do for our society is to help every single child know that they are loved, that their feelings are valid and real, and that they experience a sense of inclusion in our world. I imagine that if, in this moral panic, this so-called concern for children, that if we started listening to them first, we would be a much wiser and freer people. Recently, a trans teenager, competed in a track event in Maine. She won her high school event, and politicians and pundits covered the event with the venom and rage that you can imagine. They placed their assumptions and sense of what they believed was right without actually listening to any of the teenagers involved. They fretted that something had been stolen from the cisgender girl who finished in second place. But they didn't listen to her, so she wrote an op-ed. And she said in that, "The fact that someone finished in front of me didn't diminish the happiness I felt after the race. I don't feel like anything was taken from me. No one was harmed by her participation, but we are all harmed by the hateful rhetoric of bullies who want to take away sports from some kid just for who they are." Mr. Rogers was a Presbyterian minister, but he never spoke about that on his show and never spoke of that to children. He did not want any child to feel excluded. But of this, he would say that he considered what he did on Mr. Rogers' neighborhood as his ministry. He says, "A ministry doesn't have to be only through a church or even through an ordination. I think we can all be ministers to each other in this world by being compassionate and caring. I hope you will feel good enough about yourselves that you will want to minister to others, and that you will find your own unique ways to do that." So at a time when the most powerful people in the world are using that power to silence children, to attempt to chase trans people back into their closets or to erase us, Mr. Rogers bestows upon us an imperative. He says, we live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say, it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. But then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes. Trans children are under attack. In a time when power is being used to silence them, it is more important than ever to listen to children, to love all children into the fullness of their being. Let us, all of us, let every child know that they made today a special day by just their being them. Amen. Thank you.
Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our final hymn, number 1057, Go Lifted Up. make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love and generosity, aware that those who have gone before us, or those we that those who have gone before us in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. Today's offering will be shared with Undue Medical Debt. Their mission is to strengthen communities by erasing financially burdensome medical debt. Undue leverages donations to buy large, bundled medical debts at steep discounts, providing immediate relief to financially vulnerable families. Every $10 donated relieves $1,000 on average of undue medical debt for families in financial need. For more information, please visit the website unduemedicaldebt.org. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-newsletter or by visiting our website, uuchudsonvalley.org. Or if you prefer, you may always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in your order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Now please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
we go.